I'm setting my phone to be do not disturb for the next 3 years. It is necessary for my sanity. All right, give me another check. Do the alphabet.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V.
All right, I'm going to need you closer to your mic. So let's just maybe pull that forward.
Okay.
Go ahead.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G,
Great.
H. Okay.
Great. Yeah, see, we're competing with the wind. We're competing with the honking and the noise. And so this was either a very clever idea or the stupidest idea I've ever come up with to do an outdoor podcast. And then, of course, it's been nice and calm all day, and out of the blue, it's started getting windy. You're just about ready. And a 3, and a 2, and a 1. Welcome to episode 82 of Black, White, and Blue in the South, the podcast covering Democratic politics with a Southern flair. I'm Bill Kimler.
And I'm Catherine Fleming Bruce.
And we're coming to you from Greenwood, South Carolina, a little red county in a very red state. And this week we're recording live from a protest rally uptown Greenwood in unity with the people of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Amen.
Those poor people have been the victims of a federally militarized occupation. If you like what you hear and think others ought to be listening as well, then you need to hit pause right now and leave a rating for our show. Tell your friends about us. Write a short review. Interact with us on social media. Or better yet, if you are pregnant, march yourself down to the offices of Greenwood State Senator Billy Garrett and register yourself for the new government pregnancy tracking program that he thinks would be a great idea for the people of South Carolina to have. Oh, and make sure to check in for your monthly fetus inspection.
Oh my gosh.
To explain what I'm talking about, here's a recent clip from the Frogmore Stew podcast featuring Grace Cohen.
This is South Carolina State Senator Billy Garrett. He's in South Carolina's Senate District 10. He's proposed a bill, S-717, that would effectively create what's called an ombudsman for pregnant women in the state of South Carolina, giving them, a better business bureau of pregnancy. Because I guess he feels like those woke OBGYNs just aren't cutting it, and there needs to be a man in charge of pregnant women. So I thought, since he is so comfortable speaking about women's bodies, my body, your body, I thought maybe we should tell him how we feel about his body. So I thought we should tell him about things like Ozempic. I'm also really impressed with how much he believes in DEI, because in 2020, just before the census, he didn't win his election by all that much. But after the census, when his buddies at the state legislature redrew his district, now he wins with 69% of the vote. Great job getting elected on merit, Senator Garrett. Listen to Second Helping today on Frogmore Stew, and you'll get more details about gerrymandering and all sorts of other nonsense happening in our sweet state.
Thank you very much, Grace.
That's good.
All right. So to be honest, it may not be exactly a pregnancy registration system, but looking to create a state agency to override what OBGYNs tell them and forcing those same doctors to refer their patients to this state agency, you can see it's just a few more steps before pregnant women have to register themselves. So the act was called the Mothers and Preborns Act, and according to ABC News, this is an act that was put forth by the state Senate, and let's see here, it's passed the state Senate, I think. It passed the committee, the Medical Affairs Committee, led by Senator Billy Garrett. And this bill, according to ABC News, looks to create the Office of the Healthy Newborn Ombudsman. and that's going to be a subsidiary of the Department of Health and Human Services. And it would share information about resources and programs available to pregnant women. A few of the responsibilities of this office include keeping records of all state programs for supporting pregnant parents and infants, refer parents to programs and services, and require doctors to publish and distribute brochures about assistance and fetus development to a pregnant woman as early as possible. So now you are mandating literature, state-approved literature that is going to be going to women. Is that something you would support?
Oh, not at all.
Oh, my goodness.
It sounds onerous.
And it also changes existing legal language from embryo or fetus, terms you find in any biology textbook in the world, and they want to turn that into preborn human. So we're going to remove scientific definitions and insert their extreme religious right terminology, something that other senators voice concerns about. So, yeah, this is not good. Well, let us know what you think by dropping us a note at blackwhiteblueinthesouth@gmail.com. You can also interact with us online. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, Mastodon, and Blue Sky. Just take a quick peek at those show notes and on your podcast app where you can find links to all of those accounts, the news items we talk about, and more. Well, Catherine, you are here for a first ever outdoor live recording. We've recorded live in public before, but in a nice, comfortable indoor setting. But you are dressed as if you have just come down from the Arctic. Can you explain why? I mean, you look at me. I'm just in a T-shirt and a flannel shirt on top, but you look like you've been out shoveling snow in Iceland somewhere. Why is that?
I'm from the South. I'm sorry.
Well, it's a 52 degrees at the moment, a beautiful sunny day, light breeze, and I'm in my element. I am enjoying it. So we hear your voice. We do not hear the voice of my partner, Dr. Jamil Brooks. She is out today. She was not able to join us this weekend because she is celebrating her birthday.
Oh.
She has turned 21. Can you believe she is 21 years old, now legally able to drink?
Wow.
Bless her soul. No, I'm kidding.
Happy birthday, Jamil.
I don't know how old she is. She looks like she's 21. She is 100% absolutely ageless. But we wish her a happy, happy birthday. She deserved a day off.
Happy birthday, Jamil.
So my new co-host here is Catherine Fleming Bruce. Why on the world would I ask you to join us on this podcast today?
Oh, well, maybe because I've done a little protesting, and maybe because I'm running for U.S. Senate.
You are running to be one of 100 elected officials in the United States Senate. There's, what, 1 billion people in the United States now? I don't know the exact census number. It's 100 million, let's say. And you want to be one of 100 that sit in that sacred hall in Capitol Hill. That's incredible.
Well, thank you. And if I win, I will be the first African-American woman who is elected to the U.S. to Congress to represent us in Washington at all. So we have had no senators and no representatives who are black women just yet.
From South Carolina.
From South Carolina.
That would be definitely record-breaking, history-making, and a welcome change to what we've got representing us today.
And let me tell you who we're behind in this, because we have seen other states make progress. North Carolina, Texas, Alabama.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah.
That's fantastic news. So it can happen is what you're trying to say.
Yes.
There is precedent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, New York, Illinois, Ohio. So many states have done this, and we want to catch them in 2026.
Well, we've addressed why we have a new co-host, and we're going to dig deeper into your campaign and your history in a minute. But first, let's talk about where we are. We are outdoors in Greenwood, South Carolina at a protest. Hey, if you're going to be protesting, can we hear some protesters, please? Make some noise.
There you go.
Let's see those signs.
There you go.
We have an open seat here. If anybody wants to grab a seat and talk for a few minutes, you are welcome to have a seat. I see a lot of friendly faces out there. We're now up, I would say, about 30, 35 protesters, and we are expecting 50 to 60 by the time this is all done. So this is really exciting. This could also go completely wrong. If the wind kicks up or the sun beats down in our face or some wackadoodle comes by and it tries to cause some mischief, hey, we'll be here to record it live. I'm excited. But I want to see those signs. Hey, protesters, bring your signs over here. We want to see what you got. I'm reading one right now that says immigrants are neighbors, not enemies. Stand down, ICE. I like that. That is a great one. That is a great one. What else do I see? Stop killing citizens. And it's a history of where the federal government has gone and attacked innocent citizens of the United States. That is a great sign. Trust your eyes, not the lies.
That's a great sign.
That is an amazing sign. Kindness trumps hate. And in a teeny tiny font. So I hope they can see that from the road. End executive overreach. Yes. ICE out. That's a great message. I'm seeing, well, I can't say that on the air. Or you know what? I can say it. Bring that back. Bring that back. I can say it. It's my show. It's ICE. That's what that says. We'll be hearing some bleeps when this podcast is released, but uphold the Constitution of the United States. You don't get a more fundamental message than that. Feed kids, not faux king Nazi egos. That is an amazing sign. That is wonderful. Definitely can get behind that. Thank you all. Thank you all. That is great.
Wonderful. They're doing a great job out there. Line in the street. Line in the street. And I was at the State House the other day when we had the ice storm. So that was one of the first South Carolina responses to ice in Minnesota. So we were out there in the cold, but we said, hey, if they can do it, we can.
What had you out there? It was the same type of protest?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You're no stranger to protest. If you had to guess off the top of your head how many protests you've been to in your life, like I could say this is maybe my 10th. And that goes all the way back to college when I went to my first protest ever. It was an anti-apartheid protest on a college campus. Mm-hmm. And I really knew nothing about it, but there was this girl I was interested in. So, some of the greatest activists in the world were created by, attraction. So that's how I first got involved. So I can count maybe about 10 total, most of them within the last year. I would say, 6, 7 in the last year alone.
Yeah, maybe 30, maybe more. One of the protests I went to was anti-Iraq war.
Oh, yes, in the 90s.
In D.C. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I went to that. I've been in front of the U.S. Supreme Court twice.
Okay.
So we went last year with regard to the Voting Rights Act, Section 2. Okay. So we went there with that. And that was actually, we weren't sure South Carolinians were going to be able to join us. That was a Black Voters Matter Fund and some other groups were taking people there. And I said, hey, we want South Carolina to be in on that. So we end up taking a carload of people there to participate in that. Another one that I was in was the Occupy protests.
Occupy Wall Street?
Yes. So we had a version of that in Columbia at the South Carolina State House.
Isn't that kind of where MAGA came from, the offsprings of that Republican extremism, or do you think it was more general than that?
No, it was before. I think you're talking about the Tea Party.
Right. Wasn't that also Occupy Wall Street, or were they two separate things?
No, separate.
Okay. You got to see, I think I was in college or, a young man at the time, so I wasn't there living that history.
Right. But this was about income inequality.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what that was about. So some of these sprung up across the country. I think we had several in South Carolina. Not sure what the other cities were, but we were at the State House. So started with about 300 people. Okay. Would be there every day, spending the night on the grounds. So Nikki Haley was the governor at the time.
So let me ask you this. Do you feel like protests are effective? Do you think they actually enact the change that people are looking to do by, standing on the streets and we've got signs and people on both sides of Main Street here in Greenwood now. Mm-hmm. Do you think that these type of protests will actually enact a change at some point?
Well, absolutely. I think that it provides people an opportunity to engage. So people who are walking by can stop and ask questions. People who are driving by can express their support. And it lets people know that they're not alone in their opposition to what is happening. It also provides a national context. So we might see protests in Washington or other big cities, but then the news reports can say, okay, well, this has become nationalized. We're seeing it in every state. And that makes a difference when we're trying to put pressure on our congressmen.
You know, a lot of politics is emotional. And being among other people, to get into chanting, to put the signs and the creative messages together, to be part of a larger movement, that excites parts of your emotion. And you never know which among these people who are standing in the grass today are going to become our next candidates for all the open offices that are coming up in November.
Right. We'd very much like to see that happen. And I went to a meeting that was supposed to be very small a couple of weeks ago of young people, high school and college students who are organizing around the same topic. They actually had to move to a different location because so many people wanted to come to the meeting. And so it was great. They showed presentations and then broke up into groups. Some people were making signs. So it was a little different from what we have today when they say, well, come meet us on this street corner, come meet us at the State House. We were able to meet at the place where the event was being planned and to see so many people there.
Okay.
Very, very encouraging.
Oh, I hear it. So let's talk about you then. And I want to go back in a little bit of history where I first encountered you. You and I participated in a fundraiser the first time you ran for U.S. Senate back in 2022.
Yes.
And we did a karaoke fundraiser, right?
And I'm waiting to do that again.
Well, we can.
My pipes are still good.
Well, I can prove it because I actually have audio of you singing from that event. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
Here's a little clip of U.S. Senate candidate Catherine Fleming Bruce singing karaoke.
We are Charlie Kirk, we carry the flag.
Okay, that was a joke. I don't actually have audio of you singing. We didn't record.
Oh, thank heavens.
We made that a policy that nobody singing would be captured on camera. Otherwise, people would be shy to get up and do karaoke. So no.
Well, I'd love to do that again. So I'm waiting and open to the invitation to come back, do that again. But It was a lot of fun, and that was back in 2022. I ran against U.S. Senator Tim Scott.
Well, no, let's be correct. You ran to get rid of him, but you had to get through a primary first.
Correct, yes.
And that was a very interesting primary because there were 3 different candidates on the Democratic side vying for that. Who were those 3? There was you, Crystal Matthews.
Yes, she was the sitting legislator. Mm-hmm. And then there was Angela Jeter, who was a Democratic county chair.
She was a chair of Spartanburg, if I remember correct. Yes. So the election happened, the primary happened, and if I'm not mistaken, you had the leading number of votes. You had the highest percentage, but it wasn't 50%.
Yes.
So there was a 3-way split, which meant that the top 2 candidates had to go for a runoff. And there, I mean, who knows what happened, but and maybe you have some theories, but that's where Crystal Matthews came out. And I hate that process. I think the process of having a primary and then a runoff afterwards is the worst way to nominate a candidate for anything. Mm-hmm. Because first of all, the primary, you're getting a fraction of the voters that come out in November anyway. Right. So let's say it's 20% show up. And then you've got a runoff, which is a fraction of a fraction.
Yes.
So now you have less than 10% of the registered voters determining who the candidate is going to be.
And that's why people recommend some other methods.
I think there's ranked choice voting.
Ranked choice voting,
yes.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it.
I'm a big fan of ranked choice voting. Because you get the instant answer, right? You pick and you rank the choices you have, and in the case that there's not an outright winner, you can use that data, and they use that data, and there's a formula for it, to then say, okay, we'll then eliminate the third and then go by rankings, and then you come up with an instant. You're not waiting another week and a half.
And you're not paying for another runoff.
The money.
Yeah.
The money that's involved. It is absolutely awful.
Now guess who else used this method? The mayor's race in New York.
Yes.
So they famously used this method. I don't know what year they changed, but one of the things that happened was I think his name Brad Lander, one of the candidates, he and Zoran Mondami agreed to endorse each other and say, hey, if I don't win, vote for this one and so forth. So there are ways for candidates to cooperate instead of challenging each other, which is great.
You came out of that, your first time ever running for an office that high up. Had you run for any office prior to running for U.S. Senate that first time?
I ran for a city council seat, yes.
Okay. So you had some experience running. And I guess this is where, and as a former candidate myself, I ran for State House, which is a much smaller campaign than running for U.S. Senate. What made you think to jump right up to the top of the ranks there? You know, to say, I'm going to take on this rare position here at the statewide level.
Well, I think the important thing to look at is who else is going to offer in these races. And I think there's a great risk being in a red state. So you have a lot of candidates who are going to say, well, you know, I'm not going to risk my political capital getting into this race, those who already have seats. So that makes it open for other people to try for the seat. But that's kind of secondary. The first thing is, you know, I was so opposed to the bills that were coming out, the bills that he was getting behind. I said, this is an opportunity to at least put the challenge on that front. And I was happy with the outcome, the first outcome, because I was the third highest statewide Democratic vote getter in that race. So the only people who got more votes than I did were Joe Cunningham, who ran for governor, and Lisa Ellis, who ran for superintendent of education.
Yeah, that was a year full of hope, some decent candidates. But you know what? I'm feeling more hopeful this year than I have in many, many years. I feel like the tide of opinion is really starting to change. Never have we seen this many protests here in Greenwood, let alone across the country. It has just been nonstop. People are fed up. And to take people like me to get out of the house to do this, it's got to be something really bad. And it's been a nonstop barrage of badness.
Yeah, certainly has. The whole last year. You know, I remember talking to someone in the IRS office in January to say, you know, hey, you know, I submitted this information. I need to have a response. And I'd like to have one before January 20th because I don't know what's going to happen after that. And the person told me, oh, don't worry. You know, these transitions, they take months, you know, so nothing's going to happen, blah, 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 you know, and he changed that right away. Executive orders and everything started shifting. People started losing their jobs. So, no.
What do you feel you've learned from that first time running for U.S. Senate that now here you are 4 years later looking to be the one to take on Lindsey Graham in another crowded primary, right? Right now there's 4 names, maybe more.
Oh, you mean the Democratic primary?
For the Democratic primary,
yeah,
there are
5. Right. And I think there are 3 Republicans and 4 independents.
Yes.
And 2 libertarians.
Yes.
So, but yeah, there's 5 Democrats in the race. And what did I learn from the race? I learned that, first of all, we can't say, hey, you know, I'm going to allow only certain people to run. We want to let other people run. We want to make sure that we have a democratic process.
What do you mean by let people run? Who was stopping people from running?
Well, certainly in this race this year, you know, there was an incident where one of the candidates has been asked to step down.
Oh, in the governor's race.
In the governor's race, yeah. So I say, you know, let people run, let the voters choose, and get behind that person. I also believe that if you have a candidate that has been elected in the primary, everybody needs to get behind that candidate. So instead, what we have today is people who are saying, well, can that person win the general? And we see a lot of that in, say, the Texas race with Tallarico and Crockett.
Right.
Who can win the general election?
Who's electable?
Yeah, who is electable? And I think we need to go back to, and that's something that I want to keep talking about on the trail. We want to go back to the idea of, yes, we can. And the person that the public elects, we want to make sure that we get behind that person and make sure that they win. So we don't want to have, I don't think there should be too much talk about electability.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that, you know, if there is a choice between a baked potato on the Democratic ticket and Lindsey Graham, I'm voting for the baked potato. I'm voting for a twice baked potato. I mean, so the coalescing around the Democratic candidate, I think in this state is going to be a given. I mean, yeah, there will be feelings hurt, and it's not just the Democratic side. You want to hear nasty or see nasty. Look at the Republican primaries.
Yeah.
The Republican gubernatorial primary right now with those 5 candidates is the most vicious thing I have ever seen. We saw it in the state superintendent race a couple of years back, 4 years back,
Right.
Where several Republican candidates ran and oh my gosh, they just tore into each other like nobody's business. So the Republicans really have nasty primaries. Yet, at the end of the day, the voters come out, they go to the ballot, they don't have a clue who's on the ballot except maybe Trump, and they pull the R lever and they come all the way down. Miss Suzy, would you like to come and take a seat here? I wanted you to talk and say hi. Come on around.
Come on up. We got a chair for you.
Okay, well, come on around. I know you, Miss Suzy. We actually recorded our podcast out of Suzy's puppet house for about a year. So she is very much responsible for the success of our podcast as anybody else out there.
Oh, wow.
Suzy,
so
put on-
pleasant to meet you.
Put on those headphones so you can hear us.
Okay, what is this all about?
And then you want to pull up to the microphone so we can hear you.
Okay.
Help her out there, Catherine. You're doing a public service right now, helping a constituent. Suzy, do you know Catherine Fleming Bruce? She is running for United States Senate.
I know of her, but I do not know you well at all. But
Oh,
congratulations.
thank you.
And you're running against,
I'm running against
Against-
Lindsey Graham.
absolutely, Lindsey Graham.
Thank
Yes.
you.
So, Suzy, what brings you out here today?
Well, of course, I'm out here to fight for democracy.
Suzy, how many years have you been fighting for democracy, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, just recently, because I took it for granted for so long.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I think that's a problem because now you realize for democracy you have to pay attention every day and fight for it.
Absolutely.
You know, Suzy, if we want to describe her, she is, I think you're 80 years young now?
Well, that's speaking generously.
And she's about 4'5", and I would probably give that generous as well. But she is such a powerfully large figure. I have a video of her at a July 4th Independence Day puppet parade that she put on, and she's waving this monstrously sized flag back and forth and back and forth. If you take a look at our show on YouTube, you'll see a video of that up there. We'll have that as part of this broadcast. And I have never been more inspired in my life than that scene of you waving the flag. It was straight out of Les Mis. It was straight out of Les Mis.
Well, it's a miracle I didn't fall over backwards.
A good gust of wind would have had you sailing in the air.
Right. Anyway,
Well, Suzy, thank you for stopping by. Do you have a message for why you're here today?
well, I'm here to say that it's going to come crashing down on his head.
Ah.
We just don't know when, but anyway. And I'm glad to meet you, Catherine, so much.
Thank you. Thank you
And
so
good luck,
much.
good luck.
I
okay?
appreciate it. Thank you.
So see, we meet friends all along the way.
We do, we
and
do.
gather force and energy. So I'm going to go wave my flag a little bit more, okay?
All right, Miss
right.
Suzy, thank you for
Thank you.
stopping by.
Thank you. Good luck to you, Catherine.
Thank
good
you
luck.
so much. Let me take this from you there.
Okay,
You're doing a good job as a co-host.
Thank you.
let's go wave that flag.
Okay.
So we're going to come back to your campaign, Catherine, but
Yes.
I want to talk about you as a person, your history, because you've done some very interesting things in your life. You are a published author of a book. I want to start with that.
Okay.
And I find it interesting because I've never published a book, yet you're like the 5th or 6th guest in a row who has a published book on our show. And I find that, I feel like I'm being lazy by not writing a book. It's
Well,
like,
you
I got to
have
go get a
time.
book now.
You have time. You have time. But my book came out of my experience working to restore a civil rights site in Columbia, the Majeska Simpkins House.
Oh, yeah. So you spearheaded that, or you were part of that movement?
Yes, I spearheaded that.
Now tell us who she was. Maybe many people may not know that name.
Majeska Simpkins was known as the mother of the matriarch of the South Carolina Civil Rights Movement. So she was involved in public health back during the 40s and became involved in the NAACP and also was part of the Brown versus Board by helping to organize some of the people who became plaintiffs. So after that, she continued to stay active in civil rights and voting rights, environmental issues, a variety of issues. She wrote regular columns in the newspapers and participated in other elements. So passed away in, I think, 1993. And there is now a Majeska Simpkins School that is done, and I think they're trying to take it around the state, but it happens periodically, once a year, providing people the opportunity to learn about civil rights and organizing and South Carolina history.
So you wrote a book about your efforts to maintain the historical integrity or get it on the historical registry. What was the effort?
Well, the book was about the backstory of restoring and saving the house.
What's the name of that book?
It's called The Sustainers, Being, Building, and Doing Good Through Activism in the Sacred Spaces of Civil Rights, Human Rights, and Social Movements.
If I'm not mistaken, it is available on Amazon for purchase, right? So we'll have a link to that in our show notes. Please take a look and peruse. This is how she makes her living. You earn, what, about $1 million a year off that book? Off the book sales? Is that how that works?
Something like that. But it is an award-winning book. So it won a Historic Preservation Book Prize. So very proud of that. And it's not just about my effort, but I was interested about other efforts too. So it talks about which other sites. Actually, a couple of sites in Selma, Alabama, a couple of sites in South Carolina, including in Rock Hill. There's a place where the folks who sat at the counter, at the lunch counter, and were arrested. So that is now a restaurant. So we talked about restoring different kinds of sites, bus stations, houses, and what is being done to save them. So most people don't know the backstory.
Wonderful. And I also understand another highlight of your history is being the foreperson of a grand jury. Yes. I know you've mentioned that, but I don't recall the actual details. So what was the case? What was your role? And why is that a big deal?
Well, I've never been on a jury before. And so and this is how you find out. You get a summons from the police coming to your house, knocking on your door.
No kidding. You didn't just get something in the mail saying you have to show up for duty. You have an officer show up at your door, which means one of two things. You've got a dead family member that they're coming to tell you about, or you're being arrested. The third option of, hey, you're needed on a grand jury does not even enter your mind.
Yeah, state grand jury. So, you have to respond to that. Now,
this is a state grand jury versus a federal grand jury, right?
Yeah, this is a state grand jury.
Okay.
Yes. So
the officer comes up to your door. What were you thinking when that happened?
I was like, well, I'm going to cooperate, whatever it is he wants.
Did you stick out your wrists automatically saying, cuff me, here we go? I did it, officer.
Oh, no. I made sure I was like, oh, okay, it's about grand jury. Great. So sent that paperwork in and came on. Was one of the people who was part of the grand jury, was selected to be a part. And the topic was public corruption. And this was a case around 2015 where some of the legislators were engaged in a dark money process.
Oh, I've heard about this. Was there a name behind it that made the news?
Yes.
I have to look that up, but I forget what that name was.
Rick Quinn.
Yes, that's a famous name because he was, as I understand it, he was a mover and a shaker in South Carolina politics. Like if you wanted to get something done or you wanted a boost in your campaign, Rick Quinn was the deal maker. He was the king maker.
Yes.
Him and his son too, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And so there was a lot of public corruption that was exposed. And you sure that was at the state, not federal level?
No, that was at the state level. Okay. Yes, that was at the state level.
Because I thought the FBI was involved, but I might be mixing that up with a whole bunch of other corruptions. Right.
Yeah, lost trust.
Lost trust.
Yeah. So this was the biggest case since lost trust. I was selected to be the foreperson for that case.
Right.
So quite an honor, quite a responsibility.
All right. I won't cross the street till I come talk to y'all.
All right. We're going to have a quick guest here. This is actually the Reverend Carolyn Dennis.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And I am sorry I haven't been listening very much except to Bill's really bad jokes. And so who do I have the pleasure of sitting next to?
I'm Catherine Fleming Bruce. I'm running for U.S. Senate.
Well, God bless you, and may God shine light on that candidacy and bring about a win. That would be awesome.
Well, you're the first one. You're the first and only candidate we've ever had that got an official pastor's blessing for your campaign. Do you have anointing oil that you can put on her forehead?
Please do, please. Please.
Well, we want the best. We want, Lord, please anoint this candidacy.
Amen.
So Carolyn is the pastor of Westminster Presbyterian Church, one of the finest churches I've ever had the pleasure of walking in on. And I'm also seeing you're wearing a collar today, something I've never seen you wear.
Right.
Why?
When you come to places like this, you want people to know, kind of which side God stands on.
So should we all be wearing collars? Do you think that's going to protect you in case things get nasty?
Absolutely not. Have you been seeing what had been happening to clergy around? Pepper spray, bring it on.
Your words, God's ears.
Yes, right.
And you're wearing a shirt that says blessed? Or no, beloved.
Beloved. For we are God's beloved children.
Well, it always is great to see you and your husband, Philip. And by the way, these two, Carolyn, are former guests of my show.
Okay.
They had an amazing story to tell on 9/11. They were in the air when everything happened. And they were diverted to this little town in Gander, Newfoundland. And you may have heard of a musical called Come From Away. It's a Tony Award-winning musical, and it's about that experience of thousands of people suddenly being diverted to this tiny little fishing island in Newfoundland.
So all the people who were diverted went to the same location?
At least those 30-some passenger planes from all over the world, And it's one of the most compelling stories you could ever hear, but they told it much better than I could ever tell it, and they've already told it on the previous episodes.
Well, yeah, so go back and look at that. But I think that's one of the reasons we have such a heart for our immigrants. We got to see the kind of hospitality you give to people who, are coming for safety and escaping bad things. So
they were literal refugees.
We were refugees for a week, and so we'd like to pay that back.
Well, I'd love to. I'm going to make sure I watch that video and hopefully have a chance to talk to you more about it.
Absolutely. Can you tell me your top priority?
My top priority before I get there is to make sure we have a Democratic majority so that we can impeach, repeal, get our process, get our agenda through.
Amen.
So that's the first thing. The second thing would probably be overturning the BBB, the Big Bad Bill.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So
Thank you.
repealing that and putting the resources that we're putting into ICE and other places back into our hospitals, our healthcare system, our access to insurance, our Department of Education, our USAID,
FEMA.
Good heavens, what can people be thinking?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. And, we hear, remember Hurricane Hugo, the most recent Hurricane Helene, damages that still haven't been responded to yet.
Right.
Hurricane Katrina. So we need people, and I think that possibly people understand now that the rhetoric and the ideology that was taking them in a different direction, this is not the right direction for the country.
Right. I hope so. Because, all of those things that undergird the least of these, we need a strong central place because we all contribute to that with our hands and hearts and feet and all of that. But we need a central place and people to partner with that can bring in the big resources that are needed in those sorts of situations. So.
And as a federal elected person, you're here to be a partner. And I think that all man and woman made efforts can provide assistance. It doesn't have to just be the churches.
Oh, yeah. No, exactly.
So everything that is an organizing or institution, all of it can be for the common good. All of it can be for the common good.
There are good-hearted people in every sector. And I will tell you the one thing I'm looking forward in my elected officials is people who are willing to work across the aisle, to work with each other and build coalitions.
Yes, and nothing can be done without that. Nothing can be done without that.
Absolutely.
And there are people right now in the Senate who are Republican, Democrat, and Independent. So that may eventually change to more independents coming in, more Democrats, and whoever is there, we're working for the benefit of the people.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me sit in and have a chance to speak to you face to face. And I can't wait to be able to say, that's my senator, and I know her.
Yes, thank you so much.
You bet.
Thank you, Carolyn. And appreciate you always coming out to these events. It's very heartening to see the support.
Oh, I need to mention my scarf.
Yes.
You notice the color? Does it remind you anything? The Peace Monks. The Peace Monks who came through South Carolina.
Oh, wonderful. Did you get to see them?
I did.
Oh, wow.
I did get to see them and follow them for a while and so forth. And now they're almost in Washington, D.C. So I found this piece of cloth that's the same color of what they wear. And I said, I want to try to wear it as often as possible.
Oh, that is so sweet.
Yes. Thank you.
So let's come back to the grand jury thing. You had been selected, you were being seated, and then what happened?
And then I was appointed to be a foreperson. So from there, we talked about other cases, but we also focused on the public corruption investigation.
So the grand jury is not about issuing a guilty or not guilty verdict. It's like the first phase. It's basically you're a fact-finding group.
Yes.
Right. What else does the grand jury do then? So you find the facts, but then what do you do with it?
Well, we hear the cases of different individuals, and then we decide if it's a indictment or not after we hear the case. So then we go ahead and make that decision, and then it goes to the next stage.
So I understand the burden of proof is a little bit less for grand juries because you're just there to say, is this enough to go to a trial in front of an actual jury to determine guilt or innocence? And that's what we're seeing play out with this Trump administration as they've attempted to go after New York State Attorney General Letitia James. And they can't find a grand jury to go along with it. They've shopped it around 3 times, and 3 times the grand jury says, you don't have a case.
And that ought to be unlawful.
It really should. But, as I was listening to a podcast explain it, that a normal scenario could be that a state grand jury may not be able to find enough, but they'll turn it over to a federal that may have a different view on things, and that's common. But for a federal prosecutor, the Attorney General of the United States, Pam Bondi, to go around from grand jury to grand jury, state to state, to try to get some grand jury to indict Letitia James, that's just nuts.
Oh, nonsense. Yeah, so my experience at the state grand jury was useful. We were able to do 2 things that were a little out of the ordinary. Usually there's a 6-month time period. Okay. And then they bring a new grand jury in, and we asked if we could stay for a year.
It takes 6 months?
Well,
so wait a minute, is this
yeah.
all day? I mean, is this a full-time job type of deal?
Oh, no. You come for certain, they give you the day that you're going to come.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how that works. But,
so I'm just wondering, if you had a career at the time, how would that impact a working person? How could if I'm working Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, how could I be serving on a grand jury?
Yeah, well, I think they would have to, make an exception, in order to get out of that.
Okay.
Yeah, but for the most part, it's not every single day.
Right.
So there's some exceptions. So we did move it from 6 months to a year so that we complete the work, and we also published a report. And the reports are usually private, but we went to court to ask for the report to be made public.
Oh, how
and
interesting.
And it was. So you can read the report online.
All right. I'm going to have to get a link from you because I'm going to put that in the show notes as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And it's in Wikipedia. I think it's called South Carolina Public Corruption Investigation or something like that.
It's called the Bruce Reports, right? The Fleming Bruce Reports. We'll look that up right away. Hey, we actually have somebody new who's sitting with us today. Would you mind putting your headset on so you can hear us? And then tell us who you are and why you just took a seat.
I'm Eunice Lehmacher, and I'm running for U.S. House of Representatives here for this district.
Oh, my goodness. it is so wonderful to have somebody running for House District 3 in South Carolina, and you'd be running against Sherry Biggs.
Against Sherry Biggs, the copy and paste congresswoman
Oh my gosh.
who does just what she's told and doesn't seem to have a mind of her own. Let
No.
me tell you, I can think and I have opinions, including about ICE. We need to stop putting money into prisons and detention. We need to stop giving weapons to people that are arresting our
Absolutely.
neighbors.
Eunice, where are you from?
I live in Clemson, South Carolina. My family and I moved there in 2002.
Okay. And you drove an hour down here to be at a protest in Greenwood.
Yeah, beautiful town and a beautiful sunny day. And look at the people who are here. Excellent turnout.
Yes.
Well, Eunice, I'm here to interview a U.S. Senate candidate here in Catherine Fleming Bruce. Have you two known each other?
We've met several times.
And Eunice,
know
I remember
Catherine
you
Fleming
from your
Bruce.
state house campaign.
Right.
Because we were both running at the same time, so I kept an eye on all the other candidates and tried to copy from them when I could. So you ran a really good campaign that year as well. So we're going to love to have you back on. Would you be up for a dedicated recording session with us?
Absolutely.
But before we do that, and I get back to Catherine, give us a little statement about yourself, how they can find you, what you stand for.
Okay,
Just give us your little elevator pitch.
So I'm running for U.S. House because we've just got too much chaos in the world. And I think we need people of courage who are willing to speak up against the atrocities that are happening in our country. And not just the ICE and immigration question, which is a very important one, but the rollback of health care. I'm personally a health care provider myself.
Oh, no kidding.
Have worked in medical social work for the last 30 years. That certainly involves helping people with mental health, but also working with those of lower income, helping them find the resources we need. And one of the reasons I'm running is there's a lot of federal problems that prevent people from getting the resources they need. I'm very interested in housing, for example. And if you're below a certain income level, it's hard to find an apartment right now. And how are you supposed to keep a job if you can't keep an apartment? I'm interested in many other issues such as the environment. We've got to have people running for office that care about more than just the next 2 years.
Amen.
We've got to take care of our future, not just for humans, but for the bees that fertilize the plants that give us the crops, and for our children and future generations.
Oh, that is absolutely. Boy, I could not be happier to have the two of you representing me out there in D.C.
And guess what? I've already endorsed her.
Oh, no kidding. Well, that was quick.
And she's endorsing me, so we're going to get up there together.
Aw.
Well, and just think of all the good things we could have right here in Greenwood if we had people like Catherine and me representing you. If you had somebody that knew how to listen to your concerns, knew how to work with their colleagues, not just call them names, knew how to make compromise and work through difficult issues. I've spent a career of tackling difficult problems, and those solutions are not found by just calling each other names.
You know, I thought that we were going to get something of a reprieve once Jeff Duncan stepped down, because I harassed that guy nonstop for 4 years. He was just horrible. He was the worst of the worst. And then to have Sherry take over and just be him in heels. You can paste side by side the statements Sherry Biggs makes and the statements Jeff Duncan makes. You couldn't tell who was making the statement. They are nearly identical.
I agree. And even worse, she's sort of a copy and paste of the president, who is a felon in chief, who is doing things that are not legal. And she is not stepping up against him. I've talked to so many voters who wrote to her, for example, about the killing of Alex Preddy and Renee Good. And they get a letter back saying, this is why I'm funding ICE and concerns about immigrants.
Yeah.
Really tone deaf, and really only seems to be concerned about her people and the president. I agree Jeff Duncan was a problem, but I think Sherry Biggs is even more than a problem. Sometimes it seems like she isn't able to think for herself.
I think that's what I want more than anything else, is an actual human representing us.
Right.
If she is going to do nothing but repeat the standard lines coming out of that White House and have no original thoughts or opinions of her own, then what's the point of having her?
Right.
You can stick the baked potato, put that in that seat and have it just say whatever Trump says, and you've got Sherry Biggs.
Yeah, I agree with you. When she was elected, I thought, well, I'm not in favor of her, but at least she's a nurse practitioner and she'll understand health care. And what did she do? She took away money from Medicaid. She's taken away money from food nutrition programs. Clearly ways to hurt people. A nurse practitioner, at least the ones I know, care and are compassionate and can think critically. They face difficult problems. She doesn't seem to face any difficult problems. She just says, well, I got the orders from above and I'll do that and I don't have to think for myself.
And that's not governing.
Yeah.
That's
so,
not governing.
Eunice, we thank you for stopping in and introducing yourself, and we're going to have you back for a dedicated episode real soon.
Thanks so much
I've got
for
your
having
contact
me.
info, and we'll be reaching out.
All right, thanks so much for having me, and what a beautiful day. Thanks, Kathy.
Oh, thank you. Wow, this is a great show, Bill.
Well, who knew we would get so many celebrities stopping by? And I have a feeling that that's not going to be the last one. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing some more interesting names come on by and have a seat with us.
Oh, I hope so.
So you came at a really good time, Catherine. I'm glad you're here.
Oh, I hope
so. Let's
so.
move on from the grand jury and book author. Tell me something else about your history that kind of is relevant to your campaign to run for U.S. Senate.
Well, a lot of the programs that have been shut down at the federal level are programs that I've worked in. So this includes, and my background is mass communications. So I have a master's in that. I worked at South Carolina Educational Television.
Okay.
So we know what's happening with PBS. That's on the chopping block. I work for the State Humanities Council, which is part of NEH. Same thing. So I've been a part of a lot of these programs that deal with culture, arts, history, and other areas that have been threatened with regard to their federal funding.
What's a cut that made you really mad? Like the one that you woke up and went, son of a bitch, can't believe they just did that.
Well, I think some of the funding for public television and some of the funding for libraries. I can't understand people who don't support libraries. That's a place that provides so much and in a range, not just books, but also provides places for people to go and work, for people to go and use the computers to apply for jobs and get workforce training.
When I was growing up as a kid, I was shockingly not a popular kid. I was kind of a dorky, nerdy, four-eyed individual kid, the stereotype. I could have been right on the set of Stranger Things, to be quite honest with you. But the library was my refuge.
Yes.
Like the library allowed me to cuddle up on a beanbag with a Mad magazine and just disappear or read tales of mystery and horror, which I really loved as a kid.
And look at your face as you're saying that. All the joy is coming right back to you.
Yes.
So we want that funding to continue to support those things, museums as well. But certainly all of these public things that are for the public, for the common good, being cut. But I think the worst is what's happening in healthcare. So that's something that we want to fix as well. And I have a background in that because I worked for a number of years as a navigator for the Affordable Care Act. So that took me around the state.
What does that mean? Being a navigator, what does that entail?
Being a navigator is a person who sets up regular office hours. People can come and say, okay, I want to sign up for insurance. I don't know how. I have a lot of questions. Can you help me through the process? So that's what we did. And we also.
Where's the funding for that come from? Is that a federally funded program?
That was a federally funded program.
Okay.
I think they cut that out, but it was a federally funded program during the early years of the Affordable Care Act. So that was a competitive grant that went to every state to enable people to help them enroll. And we did educational programs as well, going into communities, doing town halls, talking to people about Medicare, Medicaid,
right.
And other health care programs that are available to them.
Now, you are in a 5-way primary, as we covered earlier.
Yes.
And I want to talk what it's like in a primary when you have to go up against other like-minded individuals, people you would support on a normal basis because they're saying and supporting, for the most part, the same things you are. Mm-hmm. But then you also have to differentiate yourself and try to distinguish yourself. How hard has that been in this field in South Carolina with the other candidates that are vying for this role?
Well, I think we went through some of the same in 2022. So I've had the experience of trying to set myself apart with the three of us women who are running. So you have the same thing. You have this year, I've experienced a lot of cordiality with the candidates, but we still have the job of reaching out to people, making sure that we express our platform, and hopefully we'll have the opportunity to have a forum or debate. We did have a couple of smaller ones.
I know you had one here in Greenwood where you had Kyle Freeman on one side of you, you had Brandon Brown on the other side.
Yes.
And the three of you were on a rickety stage that we were all just praying would not collapse during this Senate forum. And my gosh, I think that we'd put bets. There was like a 50-50 chance that stage wasn't going to make it, but it did, and nobody got hurt, and we're glad we got out of that.
Well, we appreciated having that forum, and I'm hoping that after the filing that we'll have others. Now, I noticed that South Carolina ETV has done televised primary forums and debates in the past. There hasn't been one for the U.S. Senate in about 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Part of it is because there might not have been a primary in some of the races, but the last time there was a primary, I think, was 2014.
So then what we're depending on are these local counties and parties and other groups to put these forums on in the place of a centralized group like SETV or even the state party. Like, I wonder if Crystal Spain, the chair of the South Carolina Democratic Party, if they intend to hold a candidate forum in Columbia that could be broadcast everywhere. That should be the role of a state party to do so.
Yeah. So
the state party doesn't take sides. They just need to enable a way for the message and the information to get out.
Well, I hope that happens. We see that the GOP has done that with the governor's primary candidates.
Well, speaking of the governor's campaign, take a look to your left. Who do you see there on the street corner?
I hear what you're saying. You did expect someone else to come.
We have, and I'm sure he'll be taking a seat, former guest and candidate for South Carolina Governor, Dr. Jermaine Johnson. So he's now making his way through the crowds, through the protesters, and I think that is just a real shocking development.
You are attracting everyone today. How did you do it?
Yeah, well, when you're as big as we are, we are huge.
Wow, that is fantastic. Yeah, so we're looking to see. We have seen the GOP folks do that. They have a debate in several parts of the state. So we'll see if that happens.
So the debate that you had here in Greenwood was just three of the candidates. Mm-hmm. Annie Andrews was a late scratch. Have you been in forums where all the candidates were together?
There was a forum in Lincolnville near Charleston. And so that had everyone there. All five of us were there. And there were some libertarians in there, too. There was a libertarian in there as well. So they invited everyone.
Who snuck in the libertarian? So you're saying that they opened it up to even Republican candidates, and of course the Republican candidates are not interested.
Yes.
Lindsey Graham's not going to come to a forum. He's not going to even acknowledge that he has two people that think he's soft,
Right.
And they want to be even more MAGA than Lindsey Graham is. So they don't even bother to come.
Yeah, so they invited them, but they didn't show up.
So at this stage, you've been doing this for quite a few months since you first announced. What is it about you that distinguishes you from the other Democratic candidates? Because if we were to sit here and talk about women's issues and funding and ICE and all that, I think we'd have perfect, at least position alignment. But there's got to be some differences in either, maybe there are some fringe issues you would disagree with the others on, or maybe there's just an approach that you would take that would be different than others. So what would you want our listeners to remember about you that makes you Catherine Fleming Bruce as opposed to any other candidate that they'll find in the primary ballot?
Well, I think I'm the candidate who has been an on-the-ground activist person for the past 20 years. So I have been walking the walk and talking the talk for a very long time. And I think that provides some benefits with regard to relationships and what will she do? What will she do? How will she respond to these issues? So that is one thing. And another is my work in anti-corruption. So I've been involved in anti-corruption. I've seen the underbelly of South Carolina, And I think that's something that is important in terms of how we approach these issues.
What's, before we get too far and forget, what is your website? How can people find you online and learn more about you if what you have said today has piqued anybody's curiosity?
Okay. CatherineFlemingBruce.com is my website, so people can feel free to check me out there. But CatherineFlemingBruce.com is where people can find me. info@CatherineFlemingBruce.com. Just shoot me an email, and that will allow us, if you have an event that you want us to come to, or if you have any questions, we'll be happy to respond to you.
What's it like traveling across the state? You must be putting some wicked miles on that car of yours.
Oh, yeah. Well, I love travel. You know, we've done a lot of traveling. I was an Army brat, so, you know, I've lived in Alaska and Washington State and Texas for a while, so I love the travel.
Was it your father or mother that was serving?
My father.
And what did he do?
He was in the Army.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in the Army. So he was a warrant officer.
Were you ever deployed overseas? Or was he ever deployed overseas?
He was.
And you would go with him?
He was. I missed that stage of the event.
Oh, you weren't around for that.
No, I wasn't around for that.
You just got Alaska. So you're here thinking South Carolina is cold at this temperature. Well, how did you survive Alaska?
I remember the snow being over my head.
That is crazy.
Yes.
Hey, what else is there about your campaign and what you stand for that you haven't brought up today?
Well, I think we're really focused on international engagement and foreign affairs.
You know, that's actually a point I wanted to bring up because I remember you sitting next to Brandon Brown on the stage, and he seemed to be the one you went after. And I'm going to say that's probably the harder way of saying it. I would say that he was the one you focused more on because instead of just staying with the questions that were provided and you answering the questions, you actually tried to engage him in a little debate. And it was over, I think it was over Israel.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the whole Israeli-Palestine situation and the genocide that we all know is happening and has happened there was near and dear to you. It seemed like you were very passionate about it. Talk about that a bit.
Well, I want to be sure that throughout the world, people have the opportunity to have human rights, to have democratic rights and democratic process, and have land rights. And right now we see that not happening, and not happening for decades there. October 7th was one day that was a tragedy, certainly, but many, many tragedies happened before that. So we want to find a way to build peace between the people who live in those communities, just like people can live here in relative peace from different parts of the world. So we want to see that there. We want to see a ceasefire. We want to see an end of the attacks. And we realize that the Middle East is a complex set of issues, to say the least. Recently, Lindsey Graham had something to say about what's happening in Iran and what's happening with the Kurds and how to, but a lot of it.
Was Lindsey this much of a warmonger always, or is that something he evolved into? Because I've never seen a guy want to bomb so many countries and issue so many threats at the same time. He would have the world on fire if everything he said out loud came true.
Well, I think it's evolved in a quite negative way. So these are one of the areas, foreign policy and certain places around the world.
Where's all
not
his
just
anger
Israel.
coming from? I wonder. Does he have a lot of inner demons that are now kind of releasing themselves on the international stage?
I don't know. I think some of it has to do with funding, and who's funding you and who's directing your energy.
Do you really think that funding is, a lawmaker is that beholden to the funds they get? Do you feel that, if you receive a large donation from somebody that suddenly your viewpoint changes because you got that infusion of cash from someone?
I think that people who give have expectations. And so they're expecting you to meet that, yes.
Well, hey, you're the one that was on the grand jury foreman of a big corruption scandal. So if there's anybody who knows what it's like, it is you. Well, here is a wonderful, wonderful sight for sore eyes. Come on in. Have a seat, Dr. Johnson.
How you doing? Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Jermaine Johnson.
All right, how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
There you go.
Thanks so much.
Man, you said you'd be back. I didn't know you'd be back like this.
Come on, man. Y'all my people.
Come right up to that mic.
Okay, come up to the mic.
As I understand it, you just came in from a somber event.
Yeah.
What was that?
Yeah, Representative Bill Clyburn's wife, Mrs. Beverly Clyburn, who was a historical maker in her own right. She just passed away recently, so we all wanted to go down there and pay our respects to our good colleague and somebody who has meant so much to the movement for justice. And I just wanted to be involved with that. It's even though I'm running around the state all the time, it's still good for leaders to take the time out to recognize others and to support others when they're going through some situations like that.
I mean, how many years has Bill Clyburn served the people of South Carolina?
Oh my God, 20, 25, 30 years, man.
So since before you were born?
Yeah.
So
I would say so, but the more beautiful thing is they were married over 60 years.
Good Lord.
60 years, man. I mean, me and my wife, we've been together for 15 years. I can't imagine it.
I've been married for 20 years, but there were 3 wives during those 20 years.
Right.
So I can't imagine. I cannot imagine the same woman for 60 years, the bond that you form.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Wow. And then, of course, when James Clyburn lost his wife not too long ago, a few years
Miss
back,
Emily,
another similar story.
Right.
Well, that is beautiful. So you heard about this little shindig in Greenwood?
Yeah.
And I see you out there on the sidewalk. You were shaking hands. You're meeting some of the Greenwood's finest and brightest.
Yes. Well, one thing that I've always done, even as just getting elected as a state representative, I would go to the meetings where there were only 5 people there, or 3 people there, or whatever, and they would be talking up there saying, "Man, we never get our politicians. They don't never show up," and I'd be in the back like, "Excuse me, I'm here."
Right.
Well, I wish you would have
I want
given
everybody to feel important, man.
I wish you would have given me a heads up you're going to be here, because I would have dressed up. I'm here looking like a bum while you're dressed in your suit and tie, looking fine. So I'm going to have to do some serious digital editing. I'm going to have to redo my part, but dressed up in a suit and tie. And AI
I can do it. Yeah, no worries.
Well, speaking of AI, I do want to ask you, and I'll ask you too about this, Catherine. The recent news these last 48 hours has been about a certain presidential post and a video he decided to share. Yeah. And I saw your statement that you put out. And Catherine, I don't know if you had made one as well.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I mean, who hasn't made a statement?
Right.
If there's one thing that unified a country, it was that
right.
and what he said. But tell me what went through your mind the first time you saw the news break.
Well, for me, man, it was a painful reminder of what people like myself, what Catherine, what other members of the General Assembly go through consistently and constantly. Y'all know when I put that post out about me being called the N-word, just like last month, I believe it was, where somebody jumped in there. But not only was I called the N-word, the individual said that Trump's administration would be deporting me soon. So it's stuff like that that's constantly going. But then when Donald Trump comes out there and does what he does, it emboldens everybody else to keep doing the stuff that they've been doing. And that's the problem that we have in this administration, is that he is empowering racists to feel like they're welcome anywhere. And they're not. And it's good for us and the individuals who are out here right now that are standing up and saying, no, we are not going to allow this to take hold in our state or in our country.
Right.
See, the crowd's back applauding it.
Yes,
Jermaine.
yes. And one of the points that I made was that it's almost as bad to hear people who are trying to argue that there isn't racism,
right,
and that Trump isn't a racist. So you see all these pushback in the comments, and it's really appalling because most of the people who are saying these things remember segregation.
Right.
They have grown up with something, and they might have been on the tail end or whatever, but they've heard stories from relatives, they've seen the pictures, so they know. But they're trying to create this other alternate scenario and narrative.
Well, I'll tell you, obviously I'm not a native South Carolinian. I relocated here from the Northeast, came here from New York. In 2016, I officially moved here. And the education that I've received, because the history of race in our country was not one that came up in my day-to-day life. It really never did. But the education that I've received just by listening from the people who were there in the South, the stories that they've told, and then even seeing it still exist in this area has really opened my mind, my eyes. And when I saw that video clip, I don't care what excuses the Trump administration has made. The clip is there, and it showed Barack and Michelle Obama, their faces put on top of monkeys' faces. You couldn't get a more racist trope than that. Than for him to put it out there. I mean, this is the president of the United States. For him to say, "Oh, that was an accident. I didn't see it." Well, how much did he sign on the Resolute desk that he didn't read or know what he was doing?
And
Either take responsibility or you don't.
Yeah, the worst part is he has refused to apologize.
Yes.
I mean, if you do something in error or a mistake, the first thing you do is acknowledge the mistake and you apologize for the mistake. And you say that, I hope I didn't offend anybody, or, this is what I did, but it was a mistake. I'm sorry. But apologizing and taking up ownership for your actions, that shows strength of a leader.
Right.
That's what a leader does, is they acknowledge when they've done something wrong and they correct the course of action. That's what he's doing, is showing a weak individual who refuses to actually own up to his mistakes.
Well, there's a level of disappointment not only in what the leader of your country says, but the fact that so many of his supporters tripped over themselves to make excuses, to try to apologize. They were inventing stories that it was a staffer. No, it wasn't a staffer. It was AI. It was all sorts of things that they were just. I mean, your statement specifically called out the Republican candidate for governor and the lieutenant governor, Pamela Evitt, because she was the first to go out there with a ridiculous statement supporting Donald Trump and saying that everybody's blowing it out of proportion.
Right.
And these are the people who want to lead the state.
I'm telling you, right? Oh my gosh. I mean, for her to rush to his defense when they are the ones who always say, listen, we have to wait for the investigation. Let's wait to find out all the facts. Let's wait. She rushed over there, and her excuse that she made for Donald Trump did not even match with what the White House put out saying what happened.
No.
That shows that she was already made a mistake. And then even her following, she has yet to apologize herself.
Yeah.
It just shows that they're not ready to be leaders. They can't do it.
Well, Jermaine, I don't want to tie you up because I know you're very busy, and I'm so happy you sat down. But I do want to ask what it's been like for you to run for governor and also be in session as a state house representative and seeing those worlds collide. What's that been like?
It's been very interesting. I tell you one thing, they have now exchanged my name of Representative Jermaine Johnson to Governor Johnson.
Oh, they're already calling you Governor Johnson, huh?
Everybody in the state house is calling me Governor Johnson.
They
now,
better
man.
get used to it.
Okay, you need to run that applause.
Yeah, they are all calling me Governor Johnson. Even from where I came from, one of the Republican representatives was there, and he was like, "Hey, Governor!" So they're all calling me Governor up there. A lot of the individuals saying, "Hey, listen, if we're going to have a Democratic governor, we're glad it is going to be you."
Yeah.
So I've been hearing that from a lot of the Republicans in the Republican Party that we're moving in this direction. But they are, some of them are trying to be extra nice because they see that we actually have a shot.
Yes.
And they're trying to say, hey, listen, I've always been good to you, Jermaine. Like,
no.
that whole thing. Can you help me out? Can you help me out? And I'm like, okay. Now y'all want to put on the extra kisses and sweetness.
Well, the only advice I can give you is to start flexing your veto hand. Get those fingers limbered up, because I'm expecting that veto pen to be catching fire when you take that seat. Because I'm seeing a lot of the nonsense they've come right out of the gate with here in January, the very first hours, and they're already back to the abortion debate. How can we make it worse? I saw you gave an impassioned speech about the mifepristone ban.
Yes.
My goodness.
Yeah. They need to understand that the majority of South Carolinians are not on board with the things that they are prioritizing. I mean, the fact remains that roads are still terrible. Our insurance is still too high. Grocery prices are still too high. We don't have enough affordable housing. We have no mental health beds in this state. Individuals who are fathers trying to get to their children are still being thrown in jail for trying to be a better father. We have mothers that are still, dealing with infant mortality and losing their children.
Of course, they have all sorts of bills to correct those issues, right?
Oh, of course not.
Oh.
Of course not.
But the other thing is the effort to close the primaries.
Oh, my gosh, man.
I'll tell you about that. I'm actually of a mixed mind.
Really?
So I grew up in a state where you had to register for a party to participate in that party's primary. And I remember the very first time I registered as a Democrat in New York, it's because I wanted to vote for Governor Bill Bradley, who was running for president of the United States. And I love Bill Bradley, basketball star. You see, I'm kind of I got this thing for basketball stars going into politics. You win me at a dunk right there. But he was also a Rhodes Scholar.
You win me at a dunk.
He was
I'll give you a boost.
Thank you.
But, when you're trying to pick your party's nominee, wouldn't you want your party's members to pick that nominee? I mean, that's one mind. Now, having been in politics here in South Carolina for as long as I have, I can certainly see the other argument in that in these primaries around here, you tend not to have opposition.
Correct.
And your only chance to cast a vote is in maybe another party's primary, like all the Nikki Haley voters. I would imagine half of them were Democratic leaning, but they voted for Nikki Haley in that primary. But I can still see why, you would want to close it. And to me, the onus should be on the parties to put up good candidates then.
Now, I can see your point in terms of closing it, only if the state was not gerrymandered.
True.
That's the issue. If they did not gerrymander the state, then I could say, you know what, fine, close the primaries because it would be all divided up equally. But because it's gerrymandered so bad, you cannot close the primaries because there are plenty of districts in this state that are being represented by Republicans because they gerrymandered it, and now it would essentially put somebody like yourself out of the ability to even vote at all.
Yes.
It's going to take you out of the process. So until they fix the gerrymandering problem, we have to keep the primaries open.
Right. And I would say also that the example of Nikki Haley is a statewide example. So Nikki Haley is a statewide example, but the districts that Jermaine is talking about, you don't have that representation. Right. And so those people would not have the right to vote, which I think would be unconstitutional.
Right.
Oh, that's an excellent point. Well, we're about to wrap up our show for today. Jermaine, any final words from you?
Listen, y'all, I am getting all of your emails, all of your messages. I'm getting all of your posts and your shares. I want to say thank you. Thank you for believing in me. You see, we have a poll out that we're 25%.
Let's talk about that poll because I'll be honest with you, I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
So I saw the graphic and it was 28 or 25 you, 8 for the other guy,
Correct.
but 25 of what? I didn't really I'm a math guy, but I didn't understand the nature of that. I mean, where's everybody else? Usually you do a poll, it's like based out of 100%.
Right, correct. So it was based out of 100%. So everybody else, it seems to be undecided is what it said.
No kidding.
Yeah. So they have all the numbers. They got all this data. They asked a bunch of particular questions and things. So I think the Republicans are 48% undecided or 49% undecided, something like that.
That's true.
Yeah. From the people that they polled, it was like 67% or something like that were undecided. So it's the undecided folks that it's saying it is, but we'll be moving those folks right over to the left side.
Well, I'm glad you're not taking it for granted. I mean, the fact that you are recognizing that there is competition in this primary, I still think you've got it in the bag, but that's my personal opinion. But no candidate should take should assume control before the election happens.
You either run scared or don't run at all.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
Jermaine,
what I'm doing.
It was great to see you, my man.
Always good to be here, brother.
What do you have next today?
Oh, man, I don't even know. I think I'm going to hang out here for a second, and then tomorrow I'll be in Pickens all day and meeting with a bunch of people as well.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Well, I promise you, I do have a co-host in Jameel Brooks.
No, you don't.
She is
No,
around.
you don't.
She is around here somewhere.
She's a fictitious member of this podcast. I have not seen her yet.
We were supposed to record last weekend, but it got snowed out. And so now here we are this weekend and doing it at this event, but this is her birthday weekend.
Oh,
so she says, I'm not doing a podcast on my birthday weekend.
Yeah.
She's taking time for herself. Which
Well,
she's
happy
certainly
birthday,
earned.
Dr. Brooks. Happy birthday.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know what? That's a good ringtone. I'll make sure she gets that message.
Yeah, please do.
All right, Dr. Jermaine Johnson for governor. Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
All right.
And it was great to see you, Mrs. Johnson.
She said, chance to sit down for a while.
Yeah. His knees didn't want him to get back up. His knees were like, no, I was happy right there in that chair. Well, Catherine Fleming Bruce, you picked a heck of a day to show up here.
Wow.
All of these celebrities.
Yes.
All of these celebrities. There is one more person I do want to talk to. What I'm trying to get over here is Cynthia Halpin Brown, who is the local 5051 organizer of these protests, and also a former guest on our show because she was talking about some of the earlier protests that she organized. Everybody, I want to welcome the 2025 recipient of the Greenwood County Democratic Party True Blue Democrat of the Year Award, Cynthia Halpin Brown. Let's give it up for her.
Thank you.
So I was sitting up for the celebrity today at the table in Abbeville.
It is very, it does my heart really good when people comment about that. They're like, were you the one at the banquet? Were you the, and a few people saw my picture on social media and they asked about it. One person was like, I knew that was my Cynthia when I saw it. And I was like, oh, it just made me feel so good. And I really appreciated that recognition.
So this was actually supposed to have been scheduled for last weekend because of the snow, got canceled and moved to this weekend. And beautiful day today.
Yeah,
a little windy for my taste.
Like snow never hit here.
And how are you happy with the turnout? Did you get a count yet?
Yeah, I think we're at like 60, maybe a few over 60.
Phenomenal. And then not only that, you've had celebrities make the trek. Right. Not only do we have Catherine Fleming Bruce with us, but we've seen Eunice Lehmacher.
She's right there.
She has been here. We've seen Dr. Jermaine Johnson has been here. It's been a wonderful turnout.
It has been. It's been amazing. And I love that the candidates are able to just kind of move about and chat with people and introduce themselves.
Now, earlier this morning, you gave an explanation, a very good explanation of what 5051 meant. Could you go through that for our audience?
I can't. I don't have my notes with me.
Come on. You know what 5051 stands for.
So 5051 is, or 50501, which is the incorrect way to do it.
It's not 50,501. It is pronounced 5051.
Yes, you got it. Initially, the idea was 50 states, 50 protests, no, I did it wrong.
I think that was right.
Was that right?
Yeah.
And with one day of coming together to protest and have a rally. Now the one rally has kind of been morphed into one movement, one mission.
With many, many, many rallies that have commenced since. I mean, there was that one initial rally, I don't know if it was October or earlier, where the whole nation kind of got together in this 5051 movement. Mm-hmm. And the initial count was that it broke records for the largest single United States protest in history. Beating the Million Woman March and other events.
Yes, when you look at all the different marches throughout the U.S.
Right.
And so the next one's kind of at that scale we're looking at is March 28th.
Okay.
Saturday, March 28th.
And is there a significance to that date?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Sometimes they like to be symbolic, and pick a date for a reason. But March 28th is going to be the next nationwide movement. But you may still be organizing some protests between now and then. Like you've got one scheduled for every 3 hours, if I'm not mistaken.
Pretty much. That's the way we roll.
It is a high. I mean, it is certainly something to be able to sit out there with a sign. How has the traffic been? How has the reactions been?
So very positive reactions. When people flip us off, I take that to be that we're number one.
And has that happened today?
I haven't seen any today.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'm just missing them or
I've seen
something.
some muffler trucks go by, where they rev the muffler a couple of times, but that's about it.
So it's interesting too, even with that, with the cars and trucks being really loud. The last one that went by, the two people in the front seats were waving and smiling at us, right? So it's kind of hard to interpret those. Some of them you definitely can, but sometimes you're like, okay, and you see the people in the car and how they're reacting.
All right. Well, anything else you want to say before I let you go back and interact with the folk?
No, thanks. This is, yes, I do have more to say. This is amazing. Thank you for thinking of coming here and doing your podcast.
Well, you paid us $150 to be here, so no, I'm kidding.
It was supposed to be more than that.
Hey now. No, this was a great opportunity to be out here and do it live and be part of the movement and do something a little interesting. So we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, good luck. I hope it all comes together really well.
Thank you, Cynthia.
And your timing is perfect because I think the sun is still going to stay up long enough that you're going to be able to get through this without blinding sunlight. Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Glad to be a part of this. Well, I am in my element here with the folks who are protesting and using their First Amendment rights. I think it's important, and this is what I have fought for the past 20, 30 years, and I will continue to do that in partnership with other citizens.
Well, we certainly thank you. We thank everybody who showed up to sit at our table. We thank all the protesters who took their Sunday afternoon and put signs together and stand in the middle of the road. Be damned of what kind of response they may get, but these are the kind of messages they need to hear out in the streets. People need to know that it's not right,
Yeah.
and that people are willing to stand out here and voice their opposition.
It's a proud day in Greenwood.
It really is.
And thank you for what you're doing and for inviting me today.
It has been our pleasure. And that's a wrap for this episode of Black, White, and Blue in the South. We thank Catherine Fleming Bruce for spending the afternoon with us and filling Jamil's seat today. Although she can never replace Jamil, you did a great job for the day.
Happy birthday, Jamil.
Yes, and we wish you the very best in your campaign.
Thank you.
I hope we get to see you again soon.
Oh, we certainly will.
Well, we hope you enjoyed what you heard today. Please take a quick minute and leave us a rating and a review of this show. We really want to know what you think. Your reviews drive search engines and make us more visible to new subscribers. If you're a blue dot in a red sea, keep up the hard work. Change only happens over many years of work and dedication. And I want to close out our episode today with a quote from the great Hillary Rodham Clinton. And she said the following: "I've always thought that the role of the citizen, the role of advocate, were as important in our democracy as running for office." So yes, and that's what we're seeing today. We've had people running for office, and we've had citizens advocating for others that they've never met, never knew, in a part of the country far away, and yet they're out here advocating for their rights as well. Thank you.
All right.
Great
thank
show.
you.
Great show.
Definitely a great show. Take care.
The end. The preceding podcast is solely owned by the host or hosts and is distributed by Big Media LLC. Copyright 2026.